Ethics get thorny when teachers get horny. That's really good. Really good. A new report finds that complaints about NYC teachers hit an all-time high last year, nearly 10,000. And that's up 60% from the year before. And the complaint is always the same: not enough foreplay.
A pervert would say.
Hundreds of teachers apparently broke criminal law or administrative rules, including 40 cases involving inappropriate or sexual misconduct. But like people who fail to recognize me by my birthmark in the steam room, we know it's not just a New York problem. What are you people on? It's everywhere. Teachers and middle school students recently played a weird game of lick the cream off the plexiglass. I'm not joking. At a school in Washington State. A kid took the video and gave it to their mom, who posted it on Facebook. As you can see, the adults' and kids' tongues are separated only by plexiglass as they ferociously lick marshmallow cream off. Of course, we blurred the kids' faces because they're ugly. Meantime, a former Oklahoma substitute teacher was recently arrested, va-va-voom, for allegedly having a relationship with a 15-year-old student. So sadly, she probably won't get the full-time gig. But from what the kid told investigators, it happened the way a lot of these cases progress. First conversing online, then on to sexting, then eventually physical encounters. Bill Clinton, if you're watching, stop taking notes. But let's also acknowledge the other common theme here. A lot of these teachers are young, attractive, and she's only 26. Or as Leonardo DiCaprio would call her, an old maid. But maybe it's time we're honest about this stuff. We look at adult women differently in these situations. Any male teacher who does the same thing becomes a pariah. Because if a male teacher messes with a student, no one asks if he was attractive. We want him locked up ASAP, no excuses. The solution? Either harsher penalties for female teachers, or the schools have to hire hotter dudes.
Another pervert would say.
You know, it's funny, Dr. Drew, when we were on Red Eye back in the day and we'd do stories like this, we would have to never say the truth. You could never say the truth that whenever you read a story about a female teacher and a student, you have to look at the picture to see if she's hot.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And and it's because then as a guy you go, that dude, I wish that was me at 15 or 16. I wish that happened to me. Instead, I had to go look for magazines in the park.
I know, like most men.
Yes.
Young males like that. But the reality is, yes, every young male has that kind of fantasy and understands what the impulse is. But the reality is, if you look at the outcome on these men that have predatory teachers, the outcomes are terrible. They do terrible developmentally. They have more high addiction, psychiatric problems. The brain is not ready to handle the intensity of this kind of relationship. I mean, 17 and 3/4.
I would like to have given the opportunity to see if I can handle it.
I understand that. I understand that. And we all chuckle about it. We all sort of think that maybe privately. But there's data there that shows this is not good. It's not the kind of teacher that would violate boundaries like that, and the kind of person that you would go after is somebody who's already likely to be vulnerable.
Concur.
Is this your stand that you're taking?
I'm trying to.
Are you going to run for governor?
I'm talking about the unspeakable truth that men look at this differently.
Men look at a lot of things differently.
That is true. Yes.
And women, I think, might be concerned about different injustices, but I don't want to go that far because I think other men are also concerned about other injustices.
Yeah.
And this is not so much an injustice.
Well,
so
you know what?
I don't think teachers should bang kids.
No, but I'm not. I agree with you. They shouldn't bang kids, in case you're watching at home. All right? My point is, and I think she missed it completely, Paul, and frankly, I feel sorry for her. It seems like teachers, this is happening more often. This didn't happen when you and I were growing up.
First of all, yes, you're right. It didn't happen because the best-looking teacher I had growing up looked like Jerry Nadler.
Right.
I mean, When did this happen? Every time you go online and it's like, wow, how did that happen?
This is what I'm talking about. You guys are saying, Greg, how dare you say? No, this is a different scene.
I know, you're right. And the thing is, too, it's amazing. The next step, which you didn't get to, is always, let me look at the husband.
Yeah.
Right? And they always do it. They put the picture of the husband in the photos as well, because they know people that report, they want to see, what's the home life like? And you want to say, oh, geez, she married this fat old guy. No wonder. You know?
Yeah.
But in this case, and as in many cases, like these studly guys, I don't like, is this the one that's married to like the chief of police?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, you know, and he's like a pillar of the community and everything else.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
She was getting back at him.
And something is going on with her that sets her up to be able to do this kind of thing.
I don't doubt that. I'm just saying, blah, 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 which I believe is probably safer than what I was thinking. Emily, again, you're a lawyer. Let's look back at it. What kind of crime should this teacher go to jail?
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the scenario where someone should be imprisoned for statutory rape. I will say
Wait a
that.
second. I'm going to defend Greg on this. Your point is it shouldn't happen, but do they really have to be put in prison for it?
That's kind of what I'm getting at, because I do think there's a difference in the sexes. And I think we can't keep pretending that there isn't. There is a difference going on here. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not a crime. I'm saying it's a crime, but it's different than the way it's often portrayed. And we know that when we look at the pictures and we're curious. I'm saying I'm responding to my own curiosity about what's going on, Emily.
What I see is the difference between reality and fantasy. So what I'm hearing is that the fantasy for so many young men is, of course, amazing. The fantasy of your hot science teacher taking off her glasses.
Best Van Halen song.
There you go. Yes, exactly.
Hot teacher.
Yes.
Who's crazy now?
Yes. But the reality, like Dr. Drew said, is it's an incredibly traumatic experience, and those executive functioning skills that aren't developed, the
all true. And remember the kind of person that predates and the kind of person she picks, it already sets up a bad dynamic. It doesn't happen to just everybody.
So the reality is incredibly traumatic and negative, even though the fantasy might seem exciting for a moment. And I do hear what you're saying, though, that in the realm of justice, we have different degrees. So yes, the 50-year-old male teacher preying on the young girl, the forcible physical rape. Right, we put that over in this box. And then in this box, the 22-year-old substitute teacher with a 17-year-old male, you're like, I get it. You know, illegal, but I get it. I understand that range, but the reality is that we have to have a strict liability and a strict code because of the amorphous gray area. Remember Mary Kay Letourneau?
Yes.
I mean, she had she had like multiple
I think she passed away.
Yes.
They married.
Yes.
They stayed married.
Yeah, but he
You
was
think
a
that
disaster.
Exactly.
He was a mess his whole
He
life.
was not, there
Her
was
whole
no
life.
way he had all his mental faculties,
Yeah.
probably in large part because of her predation.
He was confused. Let's put it that way.
He didn't have his mental
know-
faculties because he was too busy having the faculties.
You know how there's something wrong is that we get the story once a month.
Yes, that's my point.
Right.
These are teachers, like, you're supposed to be the smart ones.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
get caught.
I guess I'm obsessed with why this is more frequent. Maybe it's because we have smartphones and social media, so we learn about it more. And if it's becoming more frequent, is there something else going on there that we need to look at or revisit in the future, but not here because we have other stories to attend to? Right, Greg? Right, Greg. Okay.